Warring States.
Yeah, the Warring States together.
Yeah.
And it was very interesting there, reading that, seeing that, and so I was just fascinated by the culture. You know, I had a great time going, and I look forward to going back. Maybe I'll go back with you next time.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah, I always had fun doing it. And one of the things we talk about around my house is you never stop developing yourself. You know, you're always open to learning and reading and understanding other cultures. And I think if there's a problem sometimes in this world is that we really don't take enough time to try to understand other people and understand their cultures. Right. And I think if we do a better job of that, all these wide valleys sometimes will close. It will close the gap, you know, and I think that's been one of my purposes too, to have fun. And by virtue of doing this in this community, you know, you have an opportunity to not only do basketball, we talk about, like Michael say, everything in my camps when we sit around.
Talk about life and also just closing that gap in
exactly
in
and understanding
Yeah.
I mean, when you understand something, it's easy to deal with. It's when you don't understand something, you don't know how to deal with it.
Right.
You know.
So, like most NBA players or a lot of players, you know, they just play basketball and that's it. But you know, after your career, you're out there doing different things.
Yeah.
I mean, how did you decide that's what you wanted to do with your life?
Well, you know, it's very difficult to find anything you can be as passionate about as you can your sport. But I was a math guy, and I've always liked numbers and negotiating deals. You know, contracts was just part of what I enjoyed doing. As a result, I represented Jalen Rose, Maurice Taylor, Peter Warwick, Al Wilson. Those are some big names. Did some very big contracts. I own a few restaurants, but it's all putting deals together, negotiating, and that I've always enjoyed doing. So it was fun, and then being married to someone like Debbie, you know, my wife has choreographed Academy Awards about 10 times. Wow. She just directed Grey's Anatomy. My daughter was on Broadway. You know, so we just come from a family that's always been in arts and sports, and as a result of that, you're always reading and studying other cultures and. So it just keeps life exciting. You know, it's exciting to learn. I mean, I enjoy learning. I enjoy teaching. I enjoy lecturing, but I also enjoy learning and studying stuff. And you know, I'm just passionate about that.
I think people with sports backgrounds, I mean, they're so motivated. They're leaders on the field that, you know, after they're off the field, that, you know, it should come naturally.
It should come naturally. And one of the things about sports has always been the place that have brought people together. If you think about the Olympics that were just in China, everybody in the world was over there.
Right.
You know, so they had an opportunity to see people from everywhere come to Beijing. Nobody thought about color. Nobody thought about anything. It was all about the sport. Right. It's the same thing here. You know, the United States has a rough history with the civil rights movement and slavery and all that stuff. And when I first started playing, you know, you play black players, white players, you play together. When you're on the court and you compete, that's your teammate. You don't care who's messing with him. You're going to help your teammate. Right. So sometimes sports has been used as a catalyst sometimes to bring people together. Right. And I still think sports is one. I think sports and music. Music transcends. Sports transcends. You take Kobe Bryant to Beijing, there'll be 1 million people out there to watch him. You know, and he did do that.
1 million people is an understatement for China.
But that would just be the neighborhood right there.
That's right. Just a block.
When I left China, I did say, man, there are a lot of Chinese over in China. You go there, man, and it's like, you know, they're not riding bikes like they used to.
No,
I mean, there are 1 million cars on the road, and I think I was in the cars. This is another culture thing that scared me to death. They play chicken, man. I'm sitting in the car, and you see another car, they trying to get to that spot. I'm like, dudes, just stop, let him go, let him go. We don't have to do this.
Right, right.
But it was, man, I had a great time. Again, it was just fun just being there, and I've never seen so much building in my life. You know, from the airport, from Beijing to my hotel, skyscrapers as far as you can see. Right. I tell people, Beijing is like New York on steroids, man. You go there and you just see, because you have an impression, you know, you especially if you listen to television most of the time, or you believe what everybody writes about it. Right. When you go there, you go, this is incredible.
It's true.
It's incredible.
Talking about the culture thing, I tell a lot of my American friends, you know, don't be misconcepted by the CNN and stuff like that. Exactly. Because they're there to sell paper and sell news. You really
and controversy sells.
Yeah.
You know, you don't talk about the great things. You know, we were just talking about even the religion and all the nice things. You know, I had a chance to see the Shaolin priests. You know, I went to the arena that they built for the gymnasts, the Chinese gymnasts, and it was incredible because when you go see Cirque du Soleil, you know, they took that stuff straight from those Chinese gymnasts, man. When you go to China and you see those guys do it, it's like, whoa, it blows your mind.
Right.
You know, so it's like you have to go and you travel and you see. Then you don't take what people just tell you face value. You've done your own research, you've seen it, you studied it. And it just makes it more interesting.
Absolutely, and you know, getting on this the train on this subject is you mentioned about there should be more exchanges between the take basketball for example. There should be more exchanges in the basketball player.
I would love to see that happen because, as I said, there were some great players in Yinquan. I saw some great little young players that were 17, 18 years old that could definitely play on the university level here. The language would be a problem because most of them didn't speak English, but there need to be a way where there can be an exchange and have those kids come here and study and play because it would just be so great. You know, very good players. It would be unfortunate if those guys don't get the proper training so they can become great players in the Chinese basketball league or even in the NBA. There's no question some of those young guys I saw had the potential to be NBA players with the right training.
They need the Norm Nixon camp.
Exactly.
In China.
We need to go there. I called my college. I told them, I said, you guys need to try to figure out a way to do some kind of exchange program to get some of those kids over here and let them play. Because for me, it's all about the kids. It's always about the kids because they're the ones that's going to be sitting in these positions 20 years from now. So the more they understand, the more they know, the more knowledge they have, the better everything's going to be.
Well, you know, I say right here on my program, we're going to set up a Norm Nixon basketball camp. We're going to set up delegation with it, make it our goal to educate the basketball players in China.
Well, I tell you what was so funny. My young son, he played in high school. I think he might have been around 15 or 16, but he was a pretty good player. There's one place in Beijing where they have about 13 basketball courts, I think, outside. So one day I said, come on, let's go play some basketball. So we went out on the court, and there were a lot of guys out there playing. So he and I started playing. So we started beating guys. We were beating the guys. So everybody wanted to challenge us. You know, you saw the guys on other courts going, you know, in basketball where it's like, I got next.
Right.
So we just beating everybody. So they couldn't figure it out. So all the guys kept coming from all the different courts. You know, all the young guys, we got next to challenge us, you know, because we were with some of the cultural out of shape people, you know. And so we kept beating everybody. Then eventually they found out that I had played professional basketball. So it was like 200 kids there after a little while. But it was just funny because we kept winning and they couldn't figure out, you know, my beard's all gray. They're like, who is this old guy over here? They keep beating us and my son could play. So they kept coming and challenging. We just kept beating everybody. They kept challenging us. We kept beating them. So it ended up being like a funny moment. Eventually they realized I was a former professional player.
So you started a camp there?
I did.
You started a camp there already. Well, unfortunately our time is up, but really appreciate you coming over and then tell us about what you're doing, trying out to reach the Asian youth here, you know, in locally in our community, as well as being a great ambassador, basketball, you know, American culture, and bridging that culture with China. So appreciate you coming in today, and hopefully we'll get you more and share your experience about your trip.
We'll have fun with this. Last thing, March 27th at Chino at Ayala High School.
Right.
Definitely.
And we got the contact information on the TV screen. So if you, again, a lot of these successes contribute to at sport. So have your kids there, parents you watching this, or kids you watching this. It's going to be a great day at the camp.
Definitely. They'll learn a lot.
Thank you for coming, and thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.